Dear my friends, today is the fourth day in our retreat. Accordingly, we are going to have the fourth talk in the series. May everyone get settled down and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Punacha parang auso bhikkhu swacho hoti sovachassa karanehi samannagato kamo padakino hoti anusasaning titi. Dear Dhamma friends, we have selected this topic of how to get protection in our spiritual journey as well as in our day-to-day life. For that, the Buddha, out of compassion, he has listed 10 Nātakarana Dhamma or 10 Dhamma going to give the protection. And this is being presented by Venerable Maha with the invitation of the Buddha, in presence of the Buddha. So considered to be authentic, considered to be something like directly from the Buddha. So far we have discussed 3 aspects, and today as the third one, the particular Pali recitation, it says the person who is taken up this spiritual journey or mindfulness journey, he is affable, that means not arrogant or pride, but he is affable and endowed with the gentleness. So these qualities, hardly you can find any relationship with the protection as such. Usually it is being recognized other way around, and someone to be patient, quick to grasp the instructions. So this set come as synonyms whenever someone is affable and is endowed with the gentleness and the patient. He is the person who can listen something patiently and grasp the instructions. So therefore, the very first quality we discussed in the first day was having the enough theoretical understanding by listening. But when you are listening to something factual, something practical and relevant, whatever the rhetoric abilities of the preacher, you yourself must have your qualities in order to grasp it, and then only you can really understand the contextual meaning. So in that sense, for education as such, in a classroom education in the formal way or any place, this is a must. But unlucky enough, today education is completely turning people to other way around. Not to become affable, not to become gentle, and the worst people you find in the universities. In Sri Lanka, from the Sri Lankan experience, most educated people we expect in the university, but you find most arrogant, most kind of upright people for there, and ultimately people, those who are funding for that kind of institutes, they fairly, or I mean justifiably, entertain doubt, is this the outcome of the education? So this is the difference. It should be the monastic education and the worldly secular education. Both of them are education. So one has to get the better side. One has to get the beneficial side. In the Christian background, the father of education, Aquinas, he was a recognized father or very senior person, and he is the one introduced the will. He told that all the creatures without any will, they have a certain amount of will, and it has been granted by the Creator. So making use that will, if he or she being educated, they will be affable, they will be disciplined, and therefore don't just wait on the Bible. Instead, we can teach them. And that is how the education came into being. It was some radical idea at that time among the bishops. But the Aquinas was a reputed one. Ultimately, they accepted. And that is how the Western world, from the religious base, started the education. And in Pali, basically in Sanskrit in India, it says, Vidya dadati vinaya. People who are educated will be affable, will be gentle, and they are the people can be malevolent and adjustable. But that is not always the truth. According to the present education, the other side is the truth. That does not indicate that it is a governing rule or it is a universal rule. But being that is so, one has to make one's own mind more and more. When one get educated or become learned, one has to be more and more suvacha and suvachassakaraniya and kamo padakino anusasana gai. You must be very respectful to the teachers and the teaching. Then only your capacity ever increasing, you can be learning as a lifelong experiment, keep on going. When and where you become arrogant, when and where you become upright, you are cut off your input source of the information. So therefore, that is something very difficult, someone to understand whether I am affable or not. For that, it must be a comparative to the others. So you must always depend on others' opinion, of course, with constructive criticism. Otherwise, we naturally become arrogant, even without education. As toddlers, as the younger children, we were very nice and we were very affable. But more and more we educate, more and more learn arts and the skills, that arrogance sets in. So therefore, you must, before yesterday we started how to have and how to be skillful towards a spiritual friend or noble friend, and you must try to keep up all the time the friendship with the spiritual friend, intimacy. For that, your quality must be this affability or suvacha. So that is not usually inbuilt. It's something you have to learn. Not only learning, and when and where you put into practice, you find so much of tolerance from your critical mind, from your deductive mind, from your rational mind. And that is why the Buddha says, more and more you become arrogant, more and more you become upright, more and more you become unaffable, your progress will be hindered, cut off. So all the time you must be questioning yourself. So the best book I would say on that, in the regard, the D.T. Suzuki's book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Always you must develop the beginner's mind. That is an art. So when and where myself as a person got acquaintance with the mindfulness, I was so lucky. It was a small group of lay people. They always think and profess this beginner's mind. Anyone become arrogant or anyone become unaffable, we very in a joking way, we remind, now you have cut off your navel cord, no more growth. While the fetus in the womb, If you get cut off from your navel cord, you are about to rot, no growth. So that is the point. When you are living in the world, you have to understand, more and more you learn, your arrogance and your upright nature and lack of affability can happen. So therefore always keep an eye. So maybe that is the reason why whenever the Westerners come into contact with mindfulness, they came out with a lot of definitions. Some of them are practical, some of them are theoretical. This is when and where you become mindful, you must develop unassuming quality. You must never assume I am a meditator, I am a so and so, I know this, and I am already know this much. This is the worst case for the meditators. You must always ready to accept as a newcomer or as a beginner. So that is an art. So I myself as a person, very arrogant, very ineffable. But lucky enough, I had a lot of very simple living, high thinking kind of elderly people. They gently came out and told me, so this is not your personal mistake, this is what happens. So therefore always keep an eye how to observe, critical about whether you are arrogant or whether you are ineffable or upright. If it is so, the best thing is go and apologize. Humbly go and apologize, because this can happen. Anytime can happen because of our instinct, because of our rational thinking, and the way to recover is go and apologizing it, and again try to be mindful in an unassuming way. And there is a kind of theoretical backing also regarding this calculation, regarding this expression. The unassuming way is the mindfulness, and mindfulness is the protection, most intrinsic, most internal protection for any person on the earth. So therefore, whenever the later commentators try to understand the natural characteristics and the proximate factor and its manifestation, it says when and where you become mindful, you feel protected. Protected from the defilements and protected from the other things also. Therefore, the attribution of the mindfulness is unassuming. And usually, as a person, when and where you start meditation, you tend to feel you are better than the other lot, those who are not meditating. That is the worst case. Then finished. No one can heal you. So therefore you have to understand they have not diagnosed their symptom, that is why they are behaving like that. I have diagnosed, therefore I am not better off. I know the symptom, that's all. Therefore I must work in order to get healing. Other people, they do not know, they have not diagnosed. The day they diagnose, they also will come into the suit. And therefore we are not better off. So therefore there are three restrainments: the moral restrainment, concentration restrainment, and the wisdom, the vipassana. When and where someone upgrading, become moral, become concentrated, and become wise, each and every achievement can be tolerance, can be a negative if you become ineffable. Naturally that happens. So that is why the Buddha says all the worldly achievements, the education, the morality, money, high caste, high class, and beautiful younger age, no diseases, each and everything appear to be good endowment or gifts, but each and everything in return contribute you towards arrogance. So therefore anyone who is entertaining all the qualities together with this affability, are changing the history in the human nature. Otherwise you are imbalanced. So therefore, all the time you have to have a noble friend, a spiritual friend, and give them a chance always to analyze your behavior and expect their comments. The best example the Buddha given was his son in his lay life, known as the Prince Rahula. And at the age of 7, the mother, the Yasodhara, sent the Prince Rahula to the Buddha, telling that this is your father. First time the Prince Rahula about to see him, and then he is a wealthy man, he is having enough wealth. You are the owner, go and ask the wealth that is due. And when the Prince Rahula reaching the Buddha, touching the robe of the Buddha, he felt kind of a connection. He told, hey monk, even your shadow is very comfortable for me, and I feel like at home by touching the Buddha. And then he told, my mother asked to ask my due wealth from you, heritage. And then the Buddha told, yes, I am going to give. And he took him to the monastery and ordained him. And that was the wealth. And that was utter lost for the mother. And because the son was the only thing she has for her solace, but ultimately that also lost. And once the Buddha handed him over to the Venerable Sariputta, and Sariputta is the main disciple of the Buddha. So when Prince Rahula or the Samanera Rahula had all the reasons to be proud, to be arrogant, to be the ineffable. So therefore the Buddha gave one advice to the young Samanera Rahula. He told, early morning you must get up and sweep the lawn and take a handful of sand and throw it to the sky and make a vow or determination. May I get advices amounting to be to the grains of this handful of sand within that day. So that must be my behavior. So expect so much of advices, admonishment within that day. So therefore, when and where he is becoming so invitive, so gentle to the advisors, he can't develop this arrogance. He can't develop this uprightness, being the Buddha's son as well as Venerable Sariputta's disciple. So that is the dowry, or that is the heritage Buddha gave to his own son. All the time you have to be very humble and receptive and gentle towards the advisors. So that is, maybe I am wrong, I found when and where you become generous, when and where you give donations, your arrogance may increase. Many people are very generous, they are bragging and they wanted to write each and every wall that I have given this and that my father and mother gave this much, and you can go to Burma and Sri Lanka, each and every wall is written with so much of the bragging letters. I gave this much, I give that one, and they are setting a plaque for a simple little thing, very big things. And that is the way they are being invited, they are being encouraged. So they expect so much out of the place and the beings, and Burma is the worst. When you go there, you can see so much of things. And then you may understand, more than the generous activity, your own moral restraint is better and is more rewarding. And with all the effort, once you become a moral person, again you become so arrogant. You find all the others as beasts. They are low class. I am the person moral. I am the person with restrainment. So likewise you develop that kind of a thing, and ultimately accumulating so much of unskillful merits. The worst thing I would say, when and where you become concentrated in the meditation, that is also often contribute towards your arrogance as well as pride, and therefore your conceit. You can't imagine it is happening in such a perverted way. Even someone going to come and point you out, you may not accept, thinking, I am a moral person, I am a generous person, I am with full of concentration. Why should I ask from the other's opinion? So therefore each and everything has its own the dark side. So that is the place where the noble friend, the spiritual friend, he or she may be indicate you in a due time. Of course the generosity is good, moral restraint is good, concentration is good, unless otherwise you master it. Not to get arrogant, not to get conceited, and for that always the advice must come from a higher person who has a higher moral restraint, higher concentration, higher wisdom. And the difference between the concentration meditation and the insight meditation is, insight meditation often, before and after each and every instruction it says, be careful about your conceit. Conceit is the 1/3 of your total defilement, so therefore each positive thing can be contributive towards the conceit, so therefore you have to have an open eye towards the conceit. Usually it works in a perverted way, very difficult for individual to understand. Otherwise you are very skillful. So that is the place where you need a reflector or mirror to see. And that is the place the discussions are very important, as well as the spiritual friend. The noble friend is very important. So you must be very humble, and then the spiritual friend will give the advice in due time. And according to the Buddhist ethics, Buddhist ethical values, the Buddha, sometimes when one person becomes very arrogant, he stops admonishing him. That is the capital punishment according to the Buddhist ethics. That is called Brahmadanda. Buddha never advised him. He withdrew it. That is the punishment. So that is more than the capital punishment. So we are disciples. The term disciple comes from the discipline. We must be always disciplined to receive advice from the Buddha, receive advice from the Dhamma, receive advice from the Sangha. That is how we become disciples. But when and where you start with generous activity, your own restrainment, moral restrainment, your own concentration restrainment, your own wisdom, ultimately that your humbleness, your this affable nature will be reduced, unless otherwise you are aware of it, you are prepared, you are educated on that. That's why the Buddha says, if you wish to have the protection throughout your journey, always be aware about this affable nature. And if you are not prepared, if you are not learned towards that, usually it is not something inbuilt. So therefore, when and where the mindfulness being practiced, it says don't react. Develop unassuming, non-judgmental quality. And when and where you are non-judgmental, when and where you are not assuming and non-reactive, your possibilities are 100%. Moment you decide, moment you assumed, moment you react, your possibility reduced to one combination and then become hard and fast, you get committed. So mindfulness open the situation and make everything a possibility. But once you decided, once you committed, then everything collapses into one particular combination. Now you have to go in according to this narrow path with blinkers, and your possibilities will be unlimitedly limited. So that is why the beauty of the mindfulness, but unless you develop not the mere mindfulness, but the continuity of the mindfulness, till you develop the acceleration of mindfulness, moment of mindfulness, hardly you can understand these qualities. So therefore, mindfulness just mere by term meaning, difficult to understand. When you are put into practice, only it become very pragmatic, become very practical, and you may find it is not rather closing your eyes, it is not mere rather going to a silent place, it is not merely doing nothing, but mindfulness is really an opening windows, opening possibilities. Of course, at the beginning you close your eyes and go to a silent place and sit without doing any kind of thing. Once that is started, it is slowly diversifying, but still your humbleness will be maintained, and therefore whoever may be made the history, either in Buddhist history or in human, they all were very humble people. They had all the qualities, abilities, skillfulness, but they never show it. And that character expressly mentioned in the Theravada tradition. As a monk or as a meditator, you must understand, you must develop all the skills. But in the social activities, even though you have eyes, you are supposed to behave like a blind person. Even though you have ears, you are supposed to live like a deaf. Even if you have very sensitive nose, tongue and the body, behave like a dumb person. Even you have the complete skillfulness and knowledge in front of you. Some people are doing very wrong things and you know they are not listening to you. They are arrogant, so you behave like a mad person or as a very idiot person. That is the skill in the Theravada. Very difficult to explain in America. Because the life is so advertising, show off, and under such circumstances, hardly any communication can take place. That may be the reason Buddha is not come to America. He is seeking that Western countries are Eastern countries are better, because of course Eastern also you have idiot people, arrogant people, but some kind of a communication can take place. And with the scientific education and the present day technology and the IT, each and everyone become accelerated in the arrogance. We have lost our family relationship, we have lost our mutual understanding, and we say that we are independent and individually satisfied with our tools and computers and kind of thing, not depending on each other. No, that is the way we lost it. And ultimately, that is being recognized as a rich society or well-to-do society, but ultimately you become just a cog in the man-made machine of a wheel, cogwheel. You become a cog in the cogwheel in the man-made machine. You have no life. You'll be just ridden by the already set agenda, and you don't have living in the life, because you have lost your the affability. You are no more beginner, always assume this and that. So that is why in the meditation centers and to the meditators, it has make 1/10 of your training or 1/10 of your protective Dhamma is this affability and the gentleness. So all the time when you are doing, when you are speaking, when you are thinking, always think the rational mind is very arrogant. Rational mind is very sensory, self-accusing, fault-finding, arrogant and pedantic. So these are the other side of the affability. So don't think whenever they are coming, don't try to be embarrassed or feel negative. Don't claim them as yourself. I mean, these are the things inbuilt. But when and where you understand this is negative and have a bad effect for your unhindered development, always you have to have a affability and gentleness and the then only you can grasp what the Buddha is going to say. So therefore, this affability is something ever increasing when and where you become mindful. And when and where you become, we are developing insight, you be, some Westerners, they put it in this way, you are developing a child psychology through vipassana. More and more you become the wisdom training, you again go back to the child psychology. Everything is green, everything is novelty, nothing to censor because you don't know your values. You are just a beginner. So every person loves you. So more and more you become elderly, what you lost is that your affability, but you got a lot of money, lot of education, lot of skillfulness and lot of this and that, but that affability gone. But when and where you come to a meditation center, you start mindfulness, you disclaim all your abilities and kind of thing. Again, you assume a beginner's mind, and then you find something rejuvenating, something new, something starting from ABC, and that is a kind of a recharging of the batteries. For that, your humbleness is very important, but it is not an easy task, like telling again and again. And one aspect of the Buddha is, as Buddha to be or Bodhisattva, he knew people will never listen to, let's say, heed to others unless otherwise the person who is teaching has a lot of qualities, lot of respect. That is why he developed all the qualities as a Buddha to be, and then he knew with such qualities if he is going to tell, people will rethink, listen twice, otherwise they are not. So therefore not listening, not thinking twice is partially due to the student's weakness and 50% due to the teacher's weakness. So therefore, Pandita Sayadaw, when he's in Burma, he says, when someone is being given basic instructions of the meditation, and we have to consider each and everyone as a newcomer, and whenever giving the instruction, they can't understand because this is something against the grain. So therefore, you have to assimilate a lot of aphorisms, parables, and examples, and repetitively teach them, and still, if the disciples can't grasp it, 50% of the mistake goes to the teacher. Teacher is not competent enough. If it is not so, communication won't take place. But don't take it into an advantage to your discipleness. We being disciples, we also must understand, we must be receptive, we must be ready to accept gently, so that we have to develop the affability or adjustability, and therefore it must be in the physical term, verbal term, as well as the mental. And my personal experience is, whenever we try to be affable, most unrestrainable, ungovernable part is our verbal do. Physically we can be, mentally yes, but our words, very difficult. They are jumping before we think, and ultimately do the damage, and later you can't pull it back. So therefore, more and more difficulty you find in the verbal restrainment. That is why often the Buddha maintain the noble silence, and that make the unspoken word is a war which is already won. So therefore, once you expressed, you can't pull it back. You can see how the politicians are completely collapsing by expressing one or two bad words, whole reputation gone. But in the meditation also, that we have to understand. So therefore, most of our words sometimes unbecoming and making so much of damage. Not that mere silence going to make difference, but the thing is, it reduces the irreversible damages, and later once you understand, you can do corrections. So at the beginning, somewhat artificially, you calm down. You assume as much as noble silence and receptive whatever it is happening. So being a monk, it is a must. Being a monk, we are depending on 4 requisites: the food, clothing, shelter, and the medicine. All are given. So we can't demand. We being beggars, we can't expect hot or rice. If it is cool rice, never mind. Hot or rice, never mind. What else? We are beggars. But usually when you go and see the monks, they are the most arrogant lot in a society. Because after 2600 years, things gone bad. But even then the expected models, role models are giving the wrong example. If you start your way knowingly, still you can have your peace of mind. Even the society and society at large go on. Because these are universal truths. These are unshakable truths. So therefore don't take the society as an example, but take something for you to develop urge. Can I do a real make a difference? Can myself make a real difference? And then only you can have the energies to go there, and then you find the truth is there, the facts are there, and your abilities are there, but the society won't set any examples, so you have to start. When you are going there, it is so hilarious, so aesthetic, so hobby rather than regimentation. For that, your noble friend is the role model, and don't expect that also in dozens and in gross. Expect one or two, that is enough. And when you are going there, you find you are of course going against the grain, but you are the only person living. Others are dreaming. Others are dreaming to live, never live. They are so arrogant. They are not down to earth. They are not receptive. They have so much of knowledge, but never put into practice. So therefore, that very knowledge become a hindrance. Their very abilities become a hindrance. Their skillfulness become hindrance, because it is going out through the door of this arrogance. And therefore, it must make a note, or it must be your motto in your life. Develop as much as possible skillfulness. Learn everything and behave like a person have no any knowledge, no any skill. And that is the difference, that is called the prestige. If you are going to show all the skillfulness, ultimately you get exhausted, and you will, at the death, you have to suffer. If you are not studying, you become an idiot, and you are just while away your time, and therefore you have to learn to the last moment everything. But behave in such a way as a blind person, as a deaf, as a uneducated person or idiot, and then ultimately you have enough space to make the life aesthetic one or hobby-like thing, and then you find a lot of that, not a lot, but there are a fair fraction of population, they know the art. They never get committed with this and that. They are very happy, down to earth, and living a life with so much of novelty. They try, how can I adapt into the given situation? As I mentioned, the Boy Scout and the Girl Guide, very adventurous. And together with, the Buddha says, and it is something parallel, the next part, the fifth quality, yani tani sagbrakmacharinam uccavachani kinkaraniyani. Whenever you are in a meditative community, you must have inquiring eye or inquisitive mind. Anything you can fulfill duties toward the other meditators. That in a community you must have this openness. You are not mere become sluggish and retreating back into your bedroom. But always in the society you must be an open eye to see yanitani sabbrahmacharina uchchavachani kinkaraniyani. Anything that can fulfill towards another yogi, another monk, that is your duty. No one should give you a duty list. You must not sign a job application or contract. But you must understand each and everyone is try to be mindful. So therefore even a slight thing that you can straighten, that you can fix it, they're going to give so much of facilities for others to develop their own solitude. So therefore tatta dakko hoti analaso tatrupaya vimansaya samannagato alankatum alansangvidhato. Any job in the monastery you must have ability to do. Anything in the monastery. And not only that, you must have the ability to get the job done by the others too. That means administration. Therefore, if you do not the job, the worker will not listen to you. Any person you are going to hire, if you know the job, you can directly direct them. Otherwise not. So therefore, many people in Sri Lanka, they think they think that becoming a monk is the escapism from the multitasking world. But when you go to the monastery, you find real multitasking you find in the monastery than in the town. And if a person having all the skillfulness and own ability, and their life in the monastery is very successful. If you have any kind of an idea thinking that by becoming a monk I will get the complete time for sitting and walking meditation, I will get the complete silence and kind of thing, right from the beginning you will be very arrogant and find fault with the monastery. There are some people, they say, I came all the way from there to come to the monastery, but what is I find it here is so much of duty, so much of work, and what is this? Well, they are escaping people. They want to just escape from their family responsibilities and just mere going to the monastery and becoming a monk, they think they will automatically get enlightened. No, they have to fulfill their duties. So all the abilities, all the skillfulness you must have, but you are not advertising them. When and where the situation happen, you go and fix it. And therefore ultimately when someone is making use that facility, you develop kind of very humble satisfaction. Okay, that is being now used. No one knows from where does it come. And that is when soon I became a monk in the monastery, I found I used to go and tell some of the senior monks, but this and that is not working in a proper order. Then he says, don't worry, nothing to worry, you just mind your own business. And overnight he come and do. Next day morning I find thing fixed. Then I have to go and thank him. He says, maybe, never mind, now it is fixed, now, finished. You do mind your own business. There are kind of some monks, they are overnight, always going and fixing and helping. They never show, they never claim. They never put a job card. They never put vouchers. Get the job done. Ultimately, it's like a Santa Claus came and put a present and go. It's like a Christmas. So that kind of a thing you can't buy from money. So therefore, whenever you are in a monastery, you must have that openness. Alankhatum, alangsangvidhatum. You must have the ability to do all the kind of thing. Don't think it is none of monk's business. That's a very good saying by Pandita. I translated them into Sinhala. He says some people are looking at the monks and say that is none of monk's business. He says they don't know, we are the disciples of the Buddha. Buddha is the one who has the omniscient knowledge and the omniscient capacity. He advises us to be skillful in each and everything. No lay people come and tell that interpret terms and conditions to the monks, because we are the real people living. So we must have all the ability, but don't be arrogant. Don't be advertising. Don't develop one-upmanship. Be humble, and then you are like the omnipotent, omnipresent God. That is, I consider as the omnipotent, omnipresent nature. You have the ability, but you have the catch and the breaks. Ability not always jumping and showing. Your ability to restrain is you have the ability to do as well as not to do. To do or get the thing done. So this is the way you master. Otherwise you are just a slave to your ability. So therefore monks try to be a monk. I would claim that each and every meditator is a monk, whether you know or not. Because we have know the danger of the samsara or this repetitive birth and death. That is why we are our endeavor to enlighten, and therefore we have declared that we are on the way to get rid of our defilements. So by the Suttanta definition, each and everyone we can easily claim full-time meditators or monks. So therefore develop open-mindedness to all the duties. Don't say this is the male one, this is female one, this is a lady, this is monks. Each and every duty is a duty. You must have ability, and if it is necessary you may do it by yourself, otherwise you let others to do it, or if you wish not to do it, still the ability, still the capacity is there. So during the time of the Buddha, there were a lot of other teachers. They have extrasensory perception and superhuman characteristics. And one day the Buddha and the disciple went to the bank of a river, and the boat is going outward to the other shore, and yet another disciple came and started to walk on the water and cross other way. And the disciple told the Buddha, Bhante, you see that people will all find that he is better than you and me because he can walk on the water, and then you are not showing that. And therefore ultimately we will not get the fame, gain and all the kind of thing. Buddha was silent and he never answered that monk. And then the boatman came back, and when coming back he is asking how much you charge to cross. Then he says 50 cents or something like that. Then Buddha turned to the monk, you see his magic is only 50 cents. Why should you worry? Do you want me to show magic for 50 cents? And then one day when Jnanaram was asked that that Bhante, you are well recognized for this meditation, and your whole life is in the forest and meditation, and you see, and many people are questioning and challenging, and you see nowadays no one to go in air. So why don't you try? He says even a cross can go. So do you wish me to be a crow? This is the way that you have the capacity. It is not a must to show. By mere showing only you devalue it. You become slave to that capacity. If you have the mastery, not only that you have the capacity, but you have the on and off button. Whenever necessary you use it, otherwise you can just off it. So this is the way in the meditation and meditative life, it's a full potential. Possibilities are 100%, but you never reduce to one combination, you keep the possibilities as such. Then it is ever rejuvenating, ever fresh. Whenever you select one out of them, selecting one means rejecting many. That's a great secret in the meditation, mindfulness. In Jnanaponika, in the power of mindfulness, he very clearly mentioned, our mind is very choosy, very selective. Whenever you given a number of combinations, you jump and select one. You don't know, by selecting one, you reject many. And the possibility that you reject go on forever. Never it will give a second chance. Instead, if you know to keep everything as a possibility, your mind is so refreshing. Your mind is so new. All the possibilities are there. So therefore mindfulness Don't give anything add to you, but keep everything a possibility. Don't collapse possibilities into one combination. For example, if I am to quote some advanced meditative experience, something like when and where you sit and come into aware that I am here, sitting here and aware. And then if it is possible or if it is easier, you may select Anapanasati or rising and falling, or in-breath and out-breath or rising and falling. Then that is a tool. At the beginning you may find it is very gross, maybe due to enthusiasm or due to its rugged nature, but slowly it will be calmed down. And ultimately, if you are not adding fuel to that, if you are not making turbulence to this calming down flow, it's naturally calmed down. And ultimately you may experience the breath but unperceivable. At that time, the very experience you are going to have is not coming through your ear or eye or ear or nose or tongue or body. It's a kind of a total experience, and therefore it feels like something contented. It feels like something saturated. It feels like something solitude. All the other times either you are engaged with eye, moment you engage with eye, the experience all coming from the ear, nose, tongue, body cut off. Moment you engage with the ear, each time you engage with the ear, knowingly or unknowingly, eye, nose, tongue, body cut off. So that is the time that for example, when and where you with the senses, you are only getting 1/5 of the totality, and you make your whole dream world out of that 1/5 as a complete total thing, but 4/5 of that is just an imaginary, just a hallucination, just a mind made. So ultimately you see, no, I am talking with my direct experience, I saw it, I touched it, I listened it. Yes, you have touched and listened 1/4 of your experience, others are just imaginary. Because hearing means you are cutting off all the other 4. But instead imagine you have taken the breath and breath also ceases to exist. Now you are fully aware you are not dead. You are fully aware you are not sleeping. You are fully aware you are not unconscious or unmindful. And that moment, all the senses are open, impingements are ever coming, nothing being given any priority. No choice. So therefore your mind is entertaining the total possibilities, but nothing collapsed into an experience. So this is the point the Buddha says, only experience you get, that is called immaterial. Whenever your mind, eye is engaged with the visual object, that is eye is material and the visual object is material. But now keep all the 5 open, all these are possibilities, but nothing selected, no choice, and that is the only point you can experience certain kind of immaterial pressure. That is because you have not selected 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. So if you know the art of it, you will see that you have the ability at a given time to see, at a given time to listen, but now they are just possibilities, potential, but you have not given a choice. That is the point. You become spiritually, become advanced. So that is a kind of a quality mindfulness always requests from the decisive mind, from the rational mind, from the argumenting mind, deductive mind. Deductive mind is very arrogant, very domineering. Don't give any chance for the reality to happen, experience to come first. But the deductive mind, so you have to understand, you must have all the abilities to do something, but also to not to do, if you do not wish. So this is the way you develop the mastery. But present day worldly knowledges, they have lost that part. When and where you develop, they always try to show off. They always advertising, and the arrogance is the invariable character. So therefore in the meditative life as well as in the worldly skills, there are two outlooks. Both of them you have to develop. You, as a meditator, as a monk, or as a full-time meditator, mindfulness, nothing to avoid. Anything come along your way, you get the best chance, best opportunity, learn it. But don't let that knowledge to interpret terms to you, to do this and that. Instead you have to have the clutch and the brake ready. And that is the way the Buddha, he has all the capacity, but he never. When the drunkard elephant, Nalagiri, is coming forward, he never pulled his pistol, he never pulled his sword, nothing, he showed the empty hand. He told, you are also an elephant, I also have the capacity to elephant, the way you are going to do, you are going to the nether world, be careful. And he just show empty hand, that is called Abhaya Mudra, I have no fear. And is doped, reduced, kneel down. If the James Bond was there, how skillfully he would have taken the revolver and shooting, and the karate person with martial arts. What nonsense! He has the full capacity, full potential, and it says he has the energy of the 16 elephants, the Buddha himself. But his thought was, he never threat, never challenged the elephant. He says, you also have the capacity, I also have the capacity. He is telling, I have the 16 times more than you. But the thing you are going to commit, going down, be careful. That's it. So later, all the martial arts came out of Buddhism. What happened was, they started putting into films, video games, all the skill was reduced to money. Finished. It is no more spiritual. So all the things coming from the Buddha. But moment you put into business, make it a commodity, you lose the spiritual value. But that particular person will deteriorate, but the truth is the truth. Any person can have all the capacities but not to show. But don't think that is none of a monk's business. Anything monk can do. And he must have ability to stop or to do yourself or get it done by others thing. So this is how the monastic education, this is how the forest life happening. So therefore many people think the most adventurous thing, most challengeful things are in the capital cities, in the first world countries. But if you really go to a monastery and see, it's just nothing second. All the abilities are there. Everything is being practiced. But no competition, no show-off. And one single fact, maybe I may criticize, I may get criticism against, the Theravada tradition know the art of hiding. Develop all the skillfulness and hide it. Never show off. But the Mahayana tradition, they went further, they wanted to show. That is how the Nalanda University in India became a threat to the government. They start making grains, making arms, printing money, all the skills. The government was Muslim, and they thought this is not a monastery, it is like a camp. Attacked and smashed. In Sri Lanka also, Mahavihara was a very traditional. And they started, and their housing complex are very not symmetrical, not pre-planned. Here and there monasteries are there. But later Abhayagiri section came into, and they were central plan, Mahayana, full of education, and they start all the other skills. And the Indian people came and smashed it, took all the gold, And on the way back, they attack even the Mahavihara also. So, moment you put this skillfulness into the commercialization or show off, that itself become your unprotection. You will be so vulnerable. So, as far as you are a meditator, as far as you are mindful, what you have to do is develop all the skillfulness, but don't get exposed. Don't overexpose it, and then it becomes your own protection. And whenever necessary, you can do it, but in a protected way, not in a hiding way. It is not backwardness. It is not something fear of someone, but if you have the respect to the knowledge, you have only the utility value, and you use it in order to increase the solitude, increase the contentment, increase the mindfulness, and only that, not more than that. And if you know the limit, any skill never disturb you. And from my personal experience, I know, as a person, I am still learning. And I know that learning capacity is ever increasing. All my batchmates, they have finished their career. Now they have got the pension. Now they are not valid coins in the society. In my case, I am ever learning. Ever learning. So I find I just appear like a newly born baby. And the opportunities, as far as you keep the gate opens, enormous. Enormous. So you are the very person close your doors by your arrogance, by your unaffability, by your uprightness. So ultimately what happens, even the noble friends, the spiritual friends never keep association with you because you are so arrogant. Otherwise they are not. So therefore you must be always learn the simple term, the beginner's mind. It is not a science, it's an art. So we, each and everyone, we have accessibility for all the knowledges, all the skills, and as a bearer of human mind, we have the capacity also. So therefore don't, by selecting a little, selecting a few, don't close many. So therefore instead, try to develop the evenly suspended attention, develop the choiceless awareness, and preparedness of the present moment, and see adaptability for yourself to adapt into the situation rather than changing the situation according to your likings and disliking. Then the simple term to use is, you are ever rejuvenating, no senility. You feel like a newly born baby, and that is a kind of the art of living. Even the secular life, even in the spiritual life, both of them are ever growing. So therefore no one outside going to come and give distraction. It is mere your arrogance. So therefore, being a yogi, you can renew yourself. So whenever administering precepts, my teacher used to say, now you are a new person, you have come to a new place, you have accepted precepts, so have a new outlook. Don't worry about the past mistakes. Always develop the humbleness and the beginner's mind, and you can, it's like in the card play, you can reshuffle the game and get a new hand. And that is how the game is going on. So all the other places, we call our brain is hardwired. You can't change it. But only with the mindfulness, specifically after mindfulness put into experiment in this is, the neuroplasticity is there, your brain completely can be changed. Train your mind, and so your brain's capacity completely can be changed. So that is how mindfulness become a bridge between the science and the Buddhism and the secular and the spiritual life. So to be mindful, you must have at least theoretical understanding that to protect the very mindfulness that you already earn, you must be always very humble, affable, as well as you have the eye to look into the necessities of the other yogis and fulfill it as much as possible without claiming anything. Don't wait till someone come and ask you. When these two are happening, when as my teacher used to say, when you go home, your all duties will be naturally fulfilled. As far as you are fulfilling other duties, your thing will be naturally fulfilled. Ultimately, you find it is you are caught up into the natural course as the things they are. This is how you feel that you are fallen into a frictionless path. You are falling into the comfort zone. Otherwise, you are making unwanted turbulence. So, any turbulence you make, you are answerable. You are committing. So these are what we call sankhara. In the meditative life, we try our best not to commit any kind of thing, but to be ready, whatever come along our way. So therefore, even to be mindful, to develop, you must have certain amount of theoretical understanding. And while you are practicing the mindfulness, what happens is, you are refining, you are reconfirming the very theoretical understanding, and moment you appreciate and understand it, you feel, you attribute all the good things to the Buddha, because his omniscient knowledge. That is how we prescribe it. But you have to pragmatically and practically put into practice and reconfirm the teaching of the Buddha. That is our timely duties as yogis. So with that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening. We will take few minutes, as we have already practiced last few days, to share meditate with all the seen and unseen beings, all help organize these retreats, and share meditate with our all deceased and living relatives, and last but not the least, to facilitate our mindfulness. With that idea, we are going to recite the Pali stanzas. Those who know may follow, others may listen attentively. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasaddha ca bhummaddha devanaga mahiddhika punyantam anumoditva chiram rakkantu sasanam. Akasaddha ca bhummaddha devanaga mahiddhika punyantam anumoditva chiram rakkantu desanam. Akasaddha ca bhummaddha devanaga mahiddhika punyantam anumoditva chiram rakkantu mam param. Idang ho jnatinam hotu sukhita hontu jnatayo. Idang ho jnatinam hotu sukhita hontu jnatayo. Idang ho jnatinam hotu sukhita. Imina punya kammena mami vala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yave nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami vala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yave nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yave nibbana pattiya. Sadhu sadhu.